Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative by World Development Corporation. I'm Sunny Pancholi, anchor at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry titans to share their experiences, thoughts, ideas, and best practices in order to inspire one another and future leaders. In a nutshell, we attempt to encapsulate the multi-decadal learnings acquired by these industry leaders. We also hope that by conducting these FaceTime with Leaders interviews, we can bring together a global community of eminent personalities. By bringing together such visionaries on one platform, we hope to play a part in inspiring the lives of other leaders. Great learnings from great leaders undoubtedly assist everyone by identifying, nurturing, and using the trade secrets that are proven success formulas for many. And this is what we aim for with these sessions by making them a gathering of industry stalwarts and a knowledge sharing community. We have one such corporate veteran on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Mr. Madhukar Rao. With nearly 3.5 decades of experience in concept to commissioning, he has profound understanding of diverse industries, including refinery, gas processing plants, petrochemicals, coal gasification, and renewables. His expertise extends from conceptualizing and feasibility studies to construction, commissioning, debottlenecking, and operational stabilisation of projects. With his qualities, a spree of remarkable results, and the ability to handle both operational and strategic issues across various levels, he has achieved several remarkable milestones. Currently, he is serving as Vice President at Torrent Gas Pvt Ltd, Hyderabad, with key achievements including the development of the city gas distribution network, managing numerous CNG stations, domestic piped natural gas connections, and extensive steel pipeline network projects. Welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, Mr. Madhukar Rao.
Oh, hi, thank you.
So, to begin with, could you let our viewers know in brief about your career journey so far?
Oh, sure. Because before I start my career journey, normally when people start a career journey, they start with their first job. But I would like to tell something before the first job. What was my background? So I have been brought up in a very lower middle class background. For example, I had my first cycle when I passed my class 10. We had our first refrigerator when I did my first job. And similarly, we got a TV when we came to know when my brother did his first job. So that was the background from which I come from. I started off my career with a four-figure CTC, and right now it's a 8-figure CTC. So that was the growth of my career. So now why I wanted to tell you about my background regarding my birth and other things, because we value money when we don't have money. So this particular aspect we always carry forward when we are working in an organization. So when we are working in an organization, we need to see that whatever we are spending, whatever the government is spending or the private party is spending is utilized well. So that sort of culture which we imbibe right at the childhood, that helps us a lot while doing our career. So to tell you, I am being an Andhraite, but I am born and brought up in Bengal. I did my schooling in Kendra Vidyalaya Central School, Calcutta, and then I got my seat in NIT Warangal actually. So that was through a Bengal quota. So all the NITs have quotas for each state. So even though I am an Andhraite, I got a seat from Bengal quota. Then I started my career in Calcutta itself after doing my engineering. I went to Assam, went to Madhya Pradesh, went to UP, went to Delhi, and finally in Telangana now. So I had a wide experience of working in various states, people with various culture and this thing. And because of my association with Gas Authority of India Limited, I had the opportunity to fly all over the world actually. So I had one of my dreams fulfilled. That is, my passport should be filled with visas so that I apply for a new passport. So that also has got fulfilled. So now starting with my career, let me tell you, I started my career with Hindustan Levers as a graduate engineer trainee. And that was a fantastic foundation for me because I was given the responsibility of handling a plant in which I was the only general shift person coming into the plant, and rest of them were working in shifts. So, being straight from college, I got the responsibility of handling the entire plant. So that means I have to take care of the raw material which is coming into the plant. I have to dispose of the product which has to go out of the plant. I have to take care of the mechanical, electrical, instrumentation maintenance. I have to take care of the manpower maintenance. So everything was under me. And that too, when I was a young graduate passed out from the college. So in time was perfect. Always we have to get into the factory at 7 o'clock, but out time was no because we had the responsibility that due to us, the plant should not shut down in the night when during my absence. So that is the kind of responsibility which Hindustan Levers has given me. And I am still grateful to Hindustan Levers for such responsibility which they have given, because that was the foundation of my whole career. But due to certain reasons, certain policies being followed by Hindustan Levers, I decided to change my job, and then I switched over to Indian Oil Corporation Limited. So Indian Oil Corporation Limited, I had joined again as a graduate engineer trainee, and it was in Assam Oil Division. So in Assam Oil Division, the culture was still the British culture because it was like a Burma oil company earlier, which was taken over by Indian Oil Corporation. So the lifestyle was totally different. As you there, we used to go to the parties with three-piece, which was compulsory actually. So that sort of a culture we never saw in my career. So now in Indian Oil Corporation, what has happened was because of Assam's geographical this thing, they used to start the work at 6 o'clock in the morning, and 6 to 10:30, 10:30 to 12 was the break, and 12 to 3:30 was the final. So after 3:30, there was nothing to do till, say, we sleep at 10 o'clock in the night or something. So I had the opportunity of lot of time with me, and I thought how to utilize it. So at that point of time, these desktops were introduced into India. I am talking about 1985. So, and all these softwares like Word, then Lotus 123, which is now called Excel, and there were certain programs called Basic, where you have to write a program, compile it, and find out mistakes, and then recompile it. So from 3:30 onwards till 7:30 in the night, I used to work with those softwares. And since there were no teachers, the only guideline was the help key. So anything which I do not know, I used to check with the help key, and then the help key used to tell me, you do this, you do this. So it was wonderful. And at that point of time, the situation was like this, that there was think of a room of 30 feet by 30 feet full of typists, and there is a head typist sitting, and he is giving the job to various people. So from there I started. So I thought, how do we automate this when this desktop is available? So I started doing utilizing Word. I started utilizing Excel to automate everything. And then, to my surprise, I went into such a depth of Excel that I could make the refinery material balance. So, and when I presented it to my management, it it appeared to them like a magic, because if I change one figure, the whole material balance changes, entire gamut happens. So this is how I got in touch with the latest technology at that time. That was the latest at that time. And slowly, we started fading out the manual typing and then going into this thing. So that was the phase where I could think that whatever a human being can think, that can happen through machine. And recently, whatever you are seeing as AI is nothing but that only. So that was envisaged by me like that long back, but it has happened now. So, for example, at that point of time, I was living in Assam. We don't have telephones too many. So I used to always think, if you, there should be some mechanism where if you drop it here, instantly it should go to the other person. So that has also come up, like SMS and this word WhatsApp and all these things is similar to that. So from there onwards, I have worked in a refinery for 5 years. And initially, I was in the technical services because of my technical bent of mind. And then they put me into operations also. I had worked in the refinery kerosene treating plant. I have worked in the distillation plant. And at that point of time, that particular refinery was the oldest working refinery in the world, because the first uh, crude which was found in India was in Assam, and it was in Digboy. And the name Digboy comes in the fact because they were using elephants for laying tracks, railway tracks. So on one of the elephant's leg, they found some oil. So they traced back the elephant's movements, and then they found some oil oozing out from a place. So then they said, dig boy, dig. So that's how the name Dig Boy comes over there. And then they put up a refinery. So it's the world's oldest working refinery, which used to work on steam pumps. You can never imagine, you can only imagine steam engines, but there were steam pumps over there. And there were practically no instrumentation. We used to only go to the field and see the levels in the vessels, or the temperature gauges on the vessels, the pressure gauges on the vessels, and control the parameters. So that was the kind of uh, plant I started my career. So after that, after 5 years of working in Digboy refinery, the Assam was quite peaceful at that time, but by the time it came to 91, the Assam, there was a lot of agitations going on, and there were a lot of anti-Assam versus non-Assamese things were going on. So I thought, let me try to change my job. So I then shifted my job to GAIL India Limited. GAIL India Limited initially started as a pipeline company, which actually transports gas from Hazira to Jagdishpur. That means the whatever gas was found in the offshore, that was given to GAIL to transport it through a pipeline across the country. And on the way, they installed power plants and fertilizer plants. So gas was being used for as a feedstock for fertilizer plants and as a fuel for power generation. So it is through gas turbines. So that is how it started. But then later on, since gas has got number of components which can be upgraded to other this thing products. So one of the component which the gas is having is LPG. That is, propane and butane is available in the natural gas, which can be taken out and used as LPG. So then they needed chemical engineers. So they recruited chemical engineers, and I was one of the initial recruits of chemical engineers of GAIL. So when this LPG plant at Vijaypur was being constructed, I was recruited. So I have that, as you said, construction, commissioning, debottlenecking, and then stabilizing. All these experiences started in 1991 with me at GAIL plant, LPG plant. So the GAIL LPG plant was then stabilized by, say, 94, 95. And GAIL was looking into avenues to how to utilize the natural gas further. So then there is a component in natural gas which is called ethane. So the ethane can be tapped, it can be cracked to make ethylene, and then ethylene can be polymerized to polyethylene. So that was the route by which gas can be converted into polymer, or say a tank or a helmet or whatever plastic chairs which you are seeing. All these things are coming from the gas, natural gas. So that is the transformation which is happening at a petrochemical plant. So in 1997, they transferred me to petrochemical plant, which is in UP, which was coming up. So there also the plant has got 4 different sections. That is initially to take out ethane. The second section is to crack the ethane. And there are 2 more sections to polymerize the ethylene. So I had the opportunity of working in all the plants. I started my career with gas processing unit, removing the ethane. And then I had the opportunity of getting a 40 days training course in Canada for going for a polymer plant. So that polymer plant, I have full knowledge. And then since our gas cracker unit was getting delayed, they put a task force, and in the task force I was put, and so I had worked in the gas cracking unit. So after working for gas processing, gas cracking, polyethylene plant, finally I ended up in my executive director's office as a technical assistant. So that made the whole gamut. But after that, in 2003, the management thought that I had enough of field experience. So they transferred me to a corporate office in 2003. So initially, I was in a total quality management group where we used to go to the customers, find out what problems they are facing, and then we give some solutions to them, or we change certain parameters in our plant so that it suits the customer. So that way, it used to be a feedback mechanism with the customers and to give them more satisfaction. And also, the customers were not very well educated about energy usage and other things. So we used to go them do energy audits. We used to help them in reduction of their energy and other aspects. So those aspects also used to taken care of total quality management, as well as we used to have these Six Sigma projects and other quality projects like you can say root cause analysis of any issue. So all these things, that sort of this thing I picked up from there. So basically, at present, my major strength has become root cause analysis as well as logical thinking. How logically you think, and then we do a root cause analysis. And so many times it happens that the person who is teaching me a subject, I go into the root cause, I think logically, and then I question the person, and he thinks, "Arey, Rao Saab has become more wiser than me." So that is that kind of interaction we have. So now, after total quality management for 3 years, I was then put into the project development team. So from 2006 till the time I left GAIL, that is 2019, I left GAIL. For 13 years, I was in the project development group. The main function of the project development group is to conceptualize what projects GAIL need to do, and then prepare a detailed feasibility report for that project. And after that, the detailed feasibility report has to be presented to the board. And in Navratna or Maharatna company boards, you have a lot of independent directors too. So we have to face, I had to face all the board members, various types of questions coming out through the board members. So once we satisfy the board members, they give an approval, okay, you can go ahead with this project. And then I hand over the project to the execution group. So the execution group executes it. And when it comes to the operational stage, if there are any issues, they consult me. Otherwise, my job ends at the approval stage. So you can think from 2006 onwards till 2019, whatever GAIL has done investments, I had a big role to play in that, because we had to actually deep dive into the project, see the pros and cons, and visualize various scenarios, what if scenarios. What if the prices of the products fall down? What if they go up? What if the prices of the raw material go down? What if the raw materials are not available? So such various kinds of permutation combinations we have to do, and finally go to the board and tell them, yes, we find this project to be reliable, workable. And we had a very good guideline also, that the project needs to cross a benchmark IRR. If it doesn't cross a benchmark IRR, it doesn't go through. So at that point of time, we were into all these pipeline projects and process projects. But the main challenge which came to me was to introduce renewables into GAIL. So I had the idea of at least we should become more, say, carbon reduction. Whatever operations we are doing, we should do something to reduce our carbon emissions. And so if we can produce power through renewables, that may subside some amount of carbon reductions. Or the wages and salaries of GAIL people should come from renewables. That was one of my aim. So I have introduced renewables. There were plenty of questions on renewables to me, and then finally the board has agreed for a 5 megawatt pilot project. So that pilot project was done, and it was successful, and it was doing very well. So the management gave further approval for another 100 megawatts of renewable projects. So that's how the project took over, from 5 megawatts to almost 105 megawatts in GAIL. And slowly further, it was being taken up by others. Now, second thing was the coal gasification project. Coal gasification project was not very new to India, but because of the quality of coal in India, the project had failed about 40 years back. So when I was in 1983 studying in NIT Warangal, I had visited the coal gasification plant, and they were gasifying coal and producing urea. But it failed because of various reasons, because it was not designed for the type of coal Indian coal is having. So I had the challenge of finding a technology for coal gasification in India. So we had to go through various technology. We had to go and visit various countries to see how the gasification is happening in those countries, and then finalized a technology. And at Talcher, one of the plant is coming up in for GAIL. So that coal gasification is also under progress. So that way, as you have introduced me, that I had an extensive research on coal gasification, because all the technologies had to be seen, all the pros and cons of the technologies had to be seen, and whether they are suitable for our Indian coal or not, that had to be seen. If it is not suitable to Indian coal, what to do with the Indian coal? Say you can blend it with some good coal, or you can blend it with some petroleum coke, and then produce make the quality of the coke better for the process to handle it. So these things were all done. And then what has happened was I had gone into I was coming to my retirement age, but I needed to work more because my daughter was very young at that moment of time. So I thought of switching from GAIL. So unfortunately, I got an opportunity in city gas distribution, where right now I'm working with Torrent Gas. So in Torrent happens to be actually a company which started with pharma. Then Torrent went from pharma to power, and in power they had actually set up gas-based power plants. So these gas-based power plants, when they set up, they were sourcing gas. So they got interested in gas. Now, once they got interested in gas, they thought how to increase the gas business. Then, as soon as Mr. Modi came and as a prime minister, he introduced the concept of city gas distribution. He not introduced the concept of city gas distribution, he promoted city gas distribution because he wanted that urban people should get gas pipeline, and the cylinders which they are using can be sent to rural areas where it is required more. So that was his main motive. So there is a regulatory body called Petroleum Natural Gas Regulatory Body. That regulatory body had divided whole of India into various geographical areas, and they have tendered those geographical areas. And whoever said, I will maximize CNG stations over here, I will maximize steel pipeline network over here, or I will give maximum connections to the domestic household. So those people were given those geographical areas. So Torrent has got one of the geographical areas, which is at near about Hyderabad, that is Sangareddy, Siddipet, and Medak, three big districts. So they wanted somebody to look after that project. So I was willing to do that because I had the opportunity to work beyond 60. So I switched from GAIL and came into Torrent Gas, and I'm still working. And as you said, we have already put up around 16 CNG stations. We have put up almost more than 2,000 connections of domestic connections. Then there are about 150 kilometers of steel pipeline. Similarly, 100 kilometers of MDP pipeline. All these things have been developed. So that is the career story, and that's how as I told you, I started my career at Hindustan Levers with a 4-figure salary, and now it is a 8-figure salary with Torrent Gas Pvt Ltd. So that's it. So
Amazing, Mr. Rao. Thank you for the excellent start to this interview. And I must tell you, your career journey, your life journey is truly inspiring.
Yeah. So what else you want to know?
All right. So continuing our conversation, we would like to know which is the most remarkable feat you have achieved in your professional life.
So in my professional life, as I told you, switching over from a plant where there were no instrumentation, there was no control system, nothing, which was absolutely manual. When I came into GAIL, it was all automatic. People were opening the control valves by 1.1%, which we could not think of in a manual system. So I had to grasp that technology immediately. Otherwise, I would have been out of place. So that was one thing which I could change myself immediately and grasp the whole thing. And from a place where I used to carry a valve key, it is called a valve key, means to open a manual valve or close a manual valve, you need a handle sort of thing, which is a key. From there to go into the DCS system and operate the keys to operate the plant was definitely a big task. So I did it. I could grasp the whole thing. And then, of course, when I went into the corporate office, the field culture is completely different than the corporate culture. So we have to just change over from our one hat to the other hat. And switching over, that was also difficult, but I could manage it very well. That is why I think have been kept in corporate for more than 16 years. Otherwise, it's a very, very luxury. People cannot imagine staying in a corporate office even for more than 5 years, actually. So I was there for 16 years. Second thing is, as you want to, as I told you, I introduced GAIL to the renewables. So renewables was not in the mindset of the GAIL, and in fact, we had to change the MOA through this thing because that was not part of GAIL's business. So and then similarly, the gasification technology selection, that was a big challenge, and whatever has been selected will go a long way in India now, because if coal becomes our feedstock, then we will not be depending upon the gas. Right now, all our fertilizer plants are dependent upon the gas, and we are importing gas at a very high price. And we are also importing a lot of urea, for which government is giving a lot of subsidy. So if the urea price is somewhere around 30,000 per ton, government is selling to the farmer at 5,000. So the 25,000 government is giving subsidy. So if you are importing urea, that means so many dollars you are spending to import urea. So if coal becomes our feedstock, then we will be self-dependent even on fertilizer front. So that was a major breakthrough which could be achieved by technology selection. So in that way, that was the contribution I feel is a very big contribution towards the nation or the GAIL also. So that was, yeah.
Okay. So since we are talking about renewable energy and renewable energy sources, here is my next question to you. You have worked for the non-clean energy sector as well as the renewable sector. So how have you managed to reconcile both these opposing viewpoints?
Yeah, see, I would say gas is actually not called a non-clean one, but of course it gives pollution, no doubt. But gas is the transition fuel. See, non-clean is something like coal or something like liquid fuels like diesel, petrol. These we classify as a non. But our transition is actually going towards electricity. So when you're transiting towards electricity, you have to have the gas as a bridge between non-fuel and non-clean and electricity. But still, I will call electricity also a non-clean technology, provided the electricity is produced from renewables. If the electricity is produced from renewables, then I will say, yes, electricity is also a clean technology. Means the running a motor vehicle on electricity is a clean motor vehicle, provided the power comes from renewables. If the power is still coming from the coal-based power plants, then I do not classify it as a clean technology, because anyway, you are throwing the dirt from one place to the other place. Yeah, at the city in which the car is moving may be clean, but you are polluting somewhere else while producing the power. So we have to slowly transit to complete renewables via the gas route, because the gas is the least polluting fuel in terms of, say, sulfur dioxide emissions, or in terms of nitrogen oxide emissions. See, carbon dioxide emission is inevitable in any fuel. But the other fuels which are other impurities which are associated while burning fuels, like suspended particles. You must have seen in Delhi, the suspended particles are so high that it forms a fog. And if those are inhaled by people, it goes into the lungs and blocks the lungs. So all these things are very dangerous, which the gas does not have all these impurities. Gas burns and gives out CO2, but it doesn't give out other other impurities like suspended particles, NOx, SOx, and other things. So that way, but as you said, I always advocated that we should go for more and more of renewables, so that we can switch over from gas to renewables also. And that way, I think our Prime Minister has done excellent job by forming a solar consortium, and nations come together to work on the solar projects, and the kind of targets which he has placed in front of the people, there were very, I think 10-fold targets he has put, and people are achieving it. So that way, slowly, India is also becoming a country which is going to become lower pollutant and all these things. But since it is a developing country, we need to be given some space to do with coal as well as to do with gas. But the ultimate aim will have to be really go for renewables. That is what is. So that's how
Absolutely.
we transited from gas to renewables.
Absolutely, Mr. Rao. So now that we have discussed your career journey, your professional pursuits, roles and responsibilities, and your viewpoint on renewable and non-renewable sources of energy. All right, so let's switch to the subject of corporate governance and ESG. So here is my question to you. As someone with boardroom experience, what do you think of the corporate governance landscape in India? I mean, whether it is supportive of the expanding corporate fabric in the country or not?
Yeah. See, as I told you, the boardroom experience I had was to present lot of projects to the board, and those projects, if approved, would lead to development of the company. So that way, I found that the board in GAIL India Limited was very this thing open to new ideas, open to new this thing, provided it brings value for money. That was also at the back of their mind, and they did not want the public money to be put into some projects which do not yield, which become NPA and other things. So luckily, the projects which have been put by GAIL, none of them are NPA. They are doing very well. So GAIL is the youngest Maharatna company. So you can imagine how much due diligence must have been put into all those projects. Not, I was on the board also for three companies. I was on the board for CUGL, that is a CGD company. I was on the board of the Talcher Fertilizers Limited. And I was on the board of a pipeline company called APGDC, which is in Andhra Pradesh. So while sitting in the board, and in fact, CUGL, I was the chairman of the board also. So that way, sitting at the board and presenting into the board, those two things I had a good experience. So what I could see, at least because I don't have much experience with the private sector boards, but I have a very good experience with the public sector boards. In the public sector boards, definitely the governance is the key thing to taking a decision-making factor. And most likely that becomes a key factor because at in the public sector, nobody is putting their own money. They are actually handling the money of the people. So they feel that they should not uh, use the money in such a manner that it goes waste. So that kind of responsibility lies on the people who are sitting in the public sector board. So I feel that the boards in public sectors are really excellent. They are doing a job because in public sector, whatever projects which are being cleared by the board will not be given any money from the government. So we have to self-sustain with our own resources, own loans and other things, and put up the project. So if something goes wrong, that company goes down. So, and the board also had unlimited powers because even if it is a 5,000 crore project or a 50,000 crore project, the board had the powers to take a decision on it until and unless it doesn't ask for any money from the government. So the board, while taking decisions, are really very careful and see that things are done at a very good level. So the answer to your question is yes, they promote lot of growth in the country by taking decisions at the board levels, because board level is the final level. It doesn't go beyond that level. So I think they are doing a very great job in our public sector boards. I can tell. I'm not having a lot of experience with the private sector, but I think there are many private sectors which are coming up in India based upon which India is growing. So I'm sure they must be taking a lot of good decisions over there also. Yeah.
Okay. So, Mr. Rao, as an ESG and corporate governance expert, what values do you bring to the table?
See, that's the reason why I told you I wanted to start from my birth, means my background, how I came up. So, since we have come up from a very humble this thing, we want to bring those values into the board also, because at that point of time we have to be very careful in dealing with public money or private money and see that it is coming to a good, useful thing. Because I carry that value that the money doesn't come easily. So if money is being spent somewhere, it should be spent in a proper manner, not in a luxurious manner, or a gambling sort of thing. So at least in the board level, I would not like to gamble on anything. I would like to bring onto the table where we take a decision which is well thought of, well rehearsed, means scenario planning, to see various things, and then only take a decision. And as far as ESG is concerned, I think it's time now that people should wake up and give importance to ESG. Because up till now, what has happened in the detailed feasibility reports and other places which we are putting up to the board, the ESG portion doesn't carry any value in the DFR. We are not putting a monetary value, or we are not putting a points value into the decision making process. So I would like to bring this ESG as part of the DFR valuation. Means if I am doing a project which is helping ESG, I would like to give some value to it. Or I would like to give some weightage to the project where, because of ESG, the project can be through, even if it is not giving you the benchmark returns. Or if you can add the value of ESG into the revenue, and if it is becoming a viable project, that those projects should be taken up. So that sort of a change I would like to introduce into the boards, if a chance comes to me. But these are the things we need to now not only look at the financial returns, we need to look at the ESG aspect of the project as well. And then go with both of them as an inbuilt into the project, the feasibility report should be evaluated. That is what I would like to bring to the board table.
Okay. All right. So let's move on to the subject of technology and its impact on your field. So my question is, what are some of the most remarkable changes you have seen in your field with changes in technology? That is part A. And part B is, what changes do you expect to see with the advent of technology like IoT, AI, ML, blockchain, Web 3.0, big data, etc.?
Yeah, see, as I told you, I started off with my career with a refinery, which is the oldest working refinery in the world. And where I told you that people did not have any laptop in front of them to see the process plant. They had to physically go to the plant and see each and every equipment, what is the temperature, what is the pressure, what is, to give you one simple example of the technology which I had dealt. One innovative idea a guy had done to control the level. He had a pigtail. So he tied a thread to the pigtail and tied the thread to the indicator of the level. So if the level is going high, his pigtail will be pulled up. So he immediately wakes up and he tries to control the level. Similarly, you must have seen in the refineries, there are flares. Means if there is a waste gas, it has to be burnt. Now to start that flare, people used to use bow and arrow. Means there used to be fire in front of the arrow, and bow and arrow, they will fire the bow so that it goes up and it lights the flare. So that was the technology which I have seen. And from there, what is the technology development which has happened in the field. In petrol, in order to increase the quality of the petrol, we used to add lead. It is called tetraethyl lead. And normally, if you have seen an ambassador car or a Fiat car, I don't know whether you must have seen it also, because the technician used to suck the petrol, put it into the carburetor, and then start the car. So the lead used to go into his body, and which is a poison, which is going into his body. So it was decided that no lead should be put into the petrol, and the technology changed, and such a manner that we had to change the molecular structure of the petrol to become upgraded instead of putting lead. So we had to make the structure of the molecule in such a way it gives you high octane. Similarly for diesel. Now, if you see kerosene is used in the lamp. So if you increase the size of the flame of the lamp, it starts smoking. So we have to remove the chemicals which are there in this thing, so that smoke doesn't happen even if you increase the flame. So that used to be done by sulfur dioxide. They used to use sulfur dioxide to absorb those materials. And you know how harmful sulfur dioxide is. So that plant was also shut down, and they literally changed the molecule itself so that the smoke doesn't happen. So, for example, I can give you a simple example like camphor. If you are having molecules of camphor, then as soon as you light it, it becomes black smoke comes out. So such things should be removed from that product so that black smoke doesn't come out. So that's how the technology went up. And as far as I told you, the instrumentation, it has become so strong that without manpower also the plant runs. Everything is automated, everything is done. And as I told you, I started off my career with Lotus 123 word processor, and all these things now are going to a higher level. And as I told you, those things we utilize to do it for material balance and mass balance and other things. So similarly, the technology which you are talking about now, that AI and other things, they will be definitely useful, because what is happening is the Indian manpower which is being utilized for software are developing the codes. So they are not doing some brain work, means they are not thinking anything, they are just making a code to make a software work. So that is not a brain work. So the brain work will be done by AI now, and your brain will be free to think of new avenues where you can put this AI. So the manpower will be start thinking more with his brain rather than doing a normal coding job. So that's how this AI is going to really help in future. And what I feel is those people who are not getting conversant with AI will definitely be left out 100%, because they do not know what is the power of AI. Similarly, IoT, which you are talking, everything is automated. So recently I had been to Europe. If I'm traveling in a corridor, as soon as I go to the corridor, the lights come up. As soon as I go out of the corridor, the lights go off. So similarly, these are the things which are going to happen in this world. Things will be so automatized and energy efficient and other things that without them we will not be able to live with. So what are the other things you talked about? AI, IoT, and
Machine learning, Web 3.0, big data.
machine learning, and all this. So this machine learning, everything is related to these only. So see, the more our human being is supposed to think with his brains, not do all the routine activities. So the more we think with our brains, we come up with more innovative ideas, more this thing, and then the world progresses further. Otherwise, if we are all busy doing only day-to-day routine activities, typing in data into the system, it doesn't help. Say that today, a boy came into my office who is a fresh graduate. He said, "Sir, I have the idea of data crunching." So what I did was, last 4 years, our CNG sales I have given it to him. And I told him, you predict me next year, what will be our sales? And he really predicted it. And he also gave some good idea that when the sales are going up, why the sales are going up at this period of time or this period of day. All these things came out by that data crunching. So definitely these things are going to become more useful tools for our decision making process, and people who do not really get at least the hang of it, what is it, they will be outdated definitely in this thing. And I found one of the courses which is being offered by you people is the digital director. So I think that is 200% must for anybody to survive in this present world, because tomorrow all the proposals are going to be digital oriented only, not all these manual oriented. So I'm happy to see that such courses are also being offered apart from this ESG course which is being offered. So corporate governance and other things, of course, we learn through our experience and other things. But the ESG and the digital is a definitely not. We cannot learn through the experience. So that's, I feel it's very useful. Yeah.
I was about to come to this question. So here it is, and the last question of the session. We are building a community of industry magnates. The move is meant for cross-pollination of knowledge and building a knowledge-sharing community of corporate giants and industry experts. So what are your thoughts about these initiatives taken by Mr. Zishan Pathan, Mr. Heval Mehta, and the team of World Development Corporation?
See, I will tell you, this is an excellent initiative taken, because I myself wrote to Prime Minister of India, because our Prime Minister of India has a website through which we can send emails. And I said, people like us who are having 40 years of experience should be utilized by the government. We can give free service also, because after 40 years of service and the career progress which you have seen in me, we are really not interested in earning money now. We are interested in giving it back to the society. So if we want to give it back to the society in the form of even becoming a government teacher, say, what happens to those students? Those students will gather the knowledge from us. They will gather all our network from us, because once they are out of their college, by one phone call, I can tell somebody, "Arey yaar, ye ladka mere se padha tha, usko thoda dekh lo." So the entire experience and the network they can utilize from us. So yeah, on those aspects, I had written an email to our Prime Minister of India. I'm sure they must be working on it, because at present, I do not think 60 is the age at which one should retire. Even though it has been coming up from generations together, 60, okay, the country, the organization retires you, but there are other avenues which should be created for such workforce. And this particular initiative, which has been taken by Zishan Mehta or Zishan Pathan and Heval Mehta, I think this was an excellent this thing, because here you are bringing in so many years of experience. If I am having 40 years of experience, if 100 people like me come together, it becomes 4,000 years of experience. And I'm sure you must be having more than 100 members. You must be having even 1,000 members. So if it is 1,000 members, it becomes 40,000 years of experience. And I feel at this point of time, the people who are experienced are not looking for really big money. They are looking for avenues where they can share their experience, where they can give their viewpoints in the boardroom, why we should do certain things or why we should not do certain things. And so that the board which is coming is doesn't have to reinvent the wheel, because the wheel has been already invented by us. It has to be only shared. Similarly, what I feel, sometimes I connect certain things with spirituality also. So in our spirituality, they say the soul keeps on going on from one body to the other. So similarly, the business which we are in goes through one body to other, means through one boat to the other. But the better the body behaves during when the soul is inside the body, it gets better results in the next janam. That is what they say. If you do good in this janam, you will get a better result in the next janam. So if I am in the board and I do good things to the company will have better results in the future, because through the next board, they will have even better results. So I feel I do not deny that the board should not have young people. Board should have young people, because when there is a diverse opinions, only then a good decision is taken. But sometimes it is always good to have some old people also in the board, so that the young people do not have to really reinvent the wheel. They can only say, "Are yaar, ye humne bahut baat dekh liya hai. Let us do it like this." So that sort of inputs should come from the older generation. And I am sure this initiative which has been taken by you people are excellent. And I even appreciate that ESG and the digital course, because those two things will really add value even to the older people. So older people can bring their value system which they are carrying this thing, but they should also be equipped with the new generation. Without ESG knowledge or without the digital knowledge, I don't not think anybody can function really well in any board. That's what I feel. So it's a really good this thing. And I am sure the thing which you are doing with me right now is also going to help, because number of people will know who is available for which kind of job. These things cannot be because there is at present I don't see any place except LinkedIn. But in LinkedIn also, such a elaborate interview I don't think will be available. And until and unless a person talks his hearts out, you do not know what the person is. Because normally seeing at a biodata, you may be impressed by the biodata, but as soon as the person opens his mouth, you come to know from where he is coming. So definitely this 1 hour interview, I think, will definitely tell people who Mr. BM Rao is, or what sort of people you people are actually interacting with. And it's going to go a long way. So I'm sure. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity to interact with you for such a long time. I don't know what was the time. Are we on time or we are?
uh, Whatever time we had, and the kind of experience that you shared, the kind of insights that you shared, the kind of philosophy that you shared was really enlightening for all our viewers. So great. It was fantastic conversing with you, and I'm confident that your insights will inspire future leaders. Thank you, Mr. Madhukar Rao, for joining us today, and we wish you the best for your future endeavors. Moreover, trust that this initiative by Directors Institute has unquestionably expanded the participants' understanding and enriched their minds.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity to speak my hearts out. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Okay. Thank you.